She's got the Madonna look. She's got Janet Jackson's moves. And she's got an outfit that would make Cher blush. Yep, lots of folks would be shocked by this raunchy rocker's routine, but they'd be even more shocked if they knew who her parents are.
Why can't you care for me?
That's right, Miss Broken-Hearted here, Connie Stevens, the all-American blonde with the dazzling smile and the squeaky clean image, is the mother of this sexy siren. And crooner Eddie Fisher is dad.
'Cause my baby don't love me no more.
I'm proud to have that in my family, and I hope the talent rubbed off on me.
We always wanted children, and now you got them. Easy, Ray.
Eddie Fisher married Connie Stevens in 1967. 2 beautiful daughters soon followed.
Let your heart be free to run.
I guess having the name Fisher is helping me because it just makes people stop and take notice.
Stop and take notice is what the crowd did when Tricia recently performed songs from her new album at the New York club Emerald City.
There's some things about me, I guess, that are a little bit like my dad.
May I sing to you?
I saw some footage when he was about my age on stage, and something I recognized in him, like a certain sparkle, a certain quality.
Tricia attributes her sound not only to her dad, but also her mom.
At times I've heard that I sound like my mom a little, some kind of quality, but I mean, I guess that's natural because I sang with her for years.
I'll stand hollering, I don't care, I've got ways.
Tricia and her sister Jolie performed together with their mother last year at a benefit for the Joe Gibbs Charities for Children.
I grew up with my mom, and she's a very level-headed and very realistic woman. I didn't have my dad around my whole life, like as a father, so I didn't know the difference. But I always pretty much knew in my heart, you know, that he really did love us, that he was going through his own thing. And even as a child, I think I sensed that, you know, in a spiritual way, I guess. So I never really was ever angry at him.
Her dad's experience with addiction has made her wary of drugs and alcohol.
I have enough spirit in myself that I don't need to, like, drink something or smoke something or snort something.
Tricia admits her career has taken off faster than she expected. She'll soon be seen in the movie Book of Love.
So yeah, hopefully I'll be able to sustain my career by myself and prove myself once everyone's, like, says she's Connie Stevens and Eddie Fisher's daughter. Hopefully they'll like me and respect me and admire what I've done in my career.
Gotta admit, that was a tough one. Well, that's it for tonight, everybody. Thanks for being with us. Good night.
Zell Miller, the man who's getting rich in politics, through connections, through political favors. That's how he got a charter to own a bank. That's why he's setting up a retirement pension for himself of over $65,000 a year. Zell Miller, the man who's getting rich in politics. Have you gotten rich in the last 16 years? Zell Miller has. Are you going to vote to make him richer?
You should call Stanley Steamer right now for our new one-year clean guarantee. Stanley Steamer. When we say we clean it, we mean it.
WAGA-TV Atlanta. Jim Axel, Brenda Wood, Ken Cook Weather, and the Eyewitness News team. This is Channel 5 Eyewitness News at 5.
Good evening. They are behind bars tonight. 2 suspects in the murder of Roswell businessman beaten to death after disappearing last weekend. And this is one of the suspects, Lamont Malik Taylor, arrested early this morning. Now, Taylor is known for carrying a sawed-off shotgun in a tote bag, the very weapon police believe was used to beat to death Raymond Charles McMahon. Channel 5's Sally Sears live now with details of today's arrest. Sally?
Jim, police credit a $25,000 reward for tips for bringing this crime to justice. They say tips on Malik's whereabouts came from all across Atlanta, but the tip that brought him to justice came early this morning.
It's approximately 2 a.m. this morning while we were out looking for the two gentlemen. Fulton County got a tip that Malik was at the Cedar Hollow Apartments.
Detectives from Gwinnett joined Fulton County officers at the apartment complex. The tipster said he spotted Malik using a telephone at the apartment complex pool.
Well, we called several units in and surrounded the entrance to the complex, and we also surrounded the pool area where we went in on foot and in vehicles, and we was able to take two individuals in custody immediately.
But Malik was not one of them. He ran into some woods nearby.
We pulled into the complex. We knew that we had the place surrounded. He couldn't have gotten nowhere but into the high bushes, wooded area, and we confined that area, sealed it off, and we just moved in with a sweep, and we was able to bring him into custody without incident.
Police arrested 20-year-old Wayne Andre Swinton, known by his initials as Was. He's charged with murder, and so is his friend Malik. The third man arrested was released by police after they charged him with merely obstructing the arrest. Police brought Malik to the Gwinnett County Jail. They say both men immediately began talking about the crime.
It seems that Swinton and Taylor went to the parking garage looking to steal a car.
And from there, the crime became increasingly more violent and more random. Why they picked that garage and why they chose Ray McMahon to murder, those details at 6. Live in Gwinnett County, I'm Sally Sears, Channel 5 Eyewitness News.
Sally, any idea if the security at that parking garage has been increased as a result of this?
They're not talking today, Brenda. They made it perfectly clear they didn't want to have anything to do with any of us.
All right, Sally.
Sally Sears in Gwinnett County. Thank you, Sally.
Atlanta police are still hunting for a man who brutally attacked a merchant in a Midtown liquor store. Yesterday, a man robbed and viciously stabbed to death a clerk at the Druid liquor store on Ponce de Leon Avenue. Police spent several hours searching through thick kudzu for the suspect after he fled the scene. Tonight, however, he still remains on the loose.
Well, the incident on Ponce de Leon surprised but did not shock nearby residents and business owners. The popular and very busy Atlanta street is a danger zone, but the crimes are not usually as serious as murder. Channel 5's Morse Diggs returned to the scene today for a first-hand look with the officer who patrols Ponce.
601, okay. The officer who works the Ponce de Leon beat says yesterday's daylight robbery and stabbing of a liquor store clerk was unusual. The intense manhunt gave the area the feel of an urban war zone. On most days, however, police have to deal with this, not serious assaults. But that's not to say that a myriad of problems like clearing away a street person before the noontime rush at one of Ponce de Leon's many restaurants is not a big concern.
It seems like almost everybody that's homeless also is somebody that's drinking a lot or that's an alcoholic or has got other problems. From cursing a woman to going in a Big Star and shoplifting, or going in a Kroger and shoplifting, or going in the Eckers and stealing a pair of earrings, or, you know, urinating on the street. Or...
This woman lives right off Ponce. She cannot prove it, but she figures street people broke into her car twice in the past month.
I mean, one time they just took the ashtray out because it had change in it, and they just stole the ashtray because they'd already gotten the radio, so there wasn't anything else to get. So it's just normal.
The damage to some businesses occurs over time. One restaurant worker says it's the atmosphere, not a single event.
Most of my business is delivery. I don't have that much pickup because of that, because people are scared to just come and park here at night.
But police also believe some everyday common criminals are coming over to Ponce de Leon, taking advantage of all the attention being given this area and committing their crimes, believing the crimes will be blamed on the homeless. Officer Prescott finished his shift without a single call that amounted to anything. About average, he told me. That's good news, but he says he puts in 75% of his time on Ponce, where most people feel that at any time, anything can happen. I'm Morse Diggs, Channel 5 Eyewitness News.
Right now, a Henry County jury is deliberating the fate of 18-year-old Billy Willingham. The teen is accused of murdering his father, then setting Thomas Patton's body on fire. Yesterday, Willingham took the stand and denied he shot his father 5 times while the victim slept. Later, prosecutors questioned Willingham's 16-year-old girlfriend, who contradicted his testimony. She claimed the defendant asked her to gather materials such as a gun and kerosene the night of the murder. The DA's office says they expect a verdict soon.
The Persian Gulf crisis took center stage today as Secretary of State James Baker took the administration's position to Capitol Hill. He appeared this morning before the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, saying again that the United States will settle for nothing less than complete Iraqi withdrawal from Kuwait, a nation which Baker says has been raped.
Hospitals have been looted without regard for the sick. Parents have been tortured and executed in front of their children, and children have been tortured and executed in front of their parents.
The Secretary of State told the Senate committee the administration is not interested in any partial solution to the crisis. He also told them Congress should not have a larger role in determining whether U.S. troops go into combat against Iraq, that President Bush will consult with congressional leaders before any such decisions are made.
The Gulf crisis was also high on the agenda today as Defense Secretary Dick Cheney met with Soviet leader Gorbachev. The official Soviet news agency gave no details of their discussions, but it was known that Cheney planned to ask that the Soviets share intelligence information about Iraq's military preparedness. The Soviets were allies of Iraq until the invasion of Kuwait, but they have shown very little inclination to tell us anything other than to say that they want to see a peaceful end to the crisis. It has ended peacefully for 3 British men who turned up today in a remote Saudi Arabian town after escaping from Iraq. The 3 young men didn't want their names released and would not talk to reporters, but they did say that they took a long overland desert route to avoid Iraqi patrols and reached freedom. 2 weeks ago, 5 other men escaped from the Iraqis by drifting to freedom in a small boat. Hundreds of Westerners, including many Americans, are still thought to be hiding out from the Iraqis in both Iraq and Kuwait.
The Gulf crisis has made us all aware of higher gas prices and the need to conserve. But a lawmaker from New York says Americans are wasting 80,000 barrels of oil a day by purchasing premium gasoline for their cars when it's not needed. The American Automobile Association says only 1 driver in 20 really needs higher octane gas, but 1 driver in 4 buys premium, paying 10 to 20 cents more per gallon. Representative Charles Schumer says consumers waste $3 billion a year on premium gas.
They don't have to look any further than the owner's manual for the truth. 90% of all owner's manuals say use regular gasoline.
Not everyone agrees. Some retailers believe that many drivers do really need premium.
If you got a big Cadillac and you put regular gas, it's going to paint. Let's face it.
Now, some consumer groups charge that oil companies want you to buy premium because they make a lot more profit on premium than on regular. Now, they say it costs the oil companies just 3.5 cents more to produce a gallon of premium. That's far below the extra cost at the gas pump.
Right now, we're going to check in with Ken Cook for a word on cooler temperatures moving into the area. I guess that's what's supposed to happen in fall.
They're not here yet. Today, Brenda, was more like springtime than fall. What a great day to be out. The wind was blowing, the birds were chirping. It was a spring-like day with strong, gusty winds. That preceding a cold front, which will drive those temperatures down later on tonight and tomorrow. Now, cloudy, 77 degrees, humidity 60%, wind out of the east at 15 miles an hour. Elsewhere over Georgia at the present time, temperatures range from the mid and upper 70s in the north through the low and mid 80s in South Georgia. Clouds are definitely on the increase. They're coming in from the west across Alabama, Tennessee, Louisiana, and Mississippi. Rain is not too far away. The first batch of it from about Birmingham to Montgomery. That all is moving to the northeast at about 15 to 20 miles an hour. Looks like we got a pretty good shot at rain either later tonight or tomorrow morning. So our forecast for this evening, if you're going out, will be partly cloudy, sort of blustery, temperature in the 70s, and southeasterly winds 7 to 14 miles an hour. Not too unlike an April day, but if you think about it, October really is the opposite of April. Yep. Be back in a little bit.
All right.
Thanks, Ken.
2 Americans and a Canadian will share the Nobel Prize for Physics. Jerome Friedman of Chicago, Henry Kendall of Boston, and Canadian Richard Taylor will share the $700,000 prize. They're being honored for their research on the structure of atomic particles. And an American professor at Harvard University, Elias Corey, wins this year's Nobel Prize in Chemistry. He's being recognized for research that makes it easier to produce plastics and artificial fibers.
Still to come on Channel 5 Eyewitness News, it is a case that sparked debate about the responsibilities of hunters. Now there is a verdict in the trial of a hunter who shot and killed a woman he mistook for a deer. Also tonight, safety experts say makers of airbags aren't just blowing hot air.
Then later, some new developments in the brutal murder of a Korean grocer.
Jane Laporte has a big job. She's in charge of recycling for the Waste Management Company, and she has some strong feelings on the subject. She recycles at home. She recycles at work. She buys things made of recycled material. Now, since she works managing the day-to-day operations of the world's largest recycling organization, you might think Jane feels this way because of the job she has. But actually, she has the job because of the way she feels.
You can store all this at Public Storage and pay just $1 for the first month's rent. You can store all this at Public Storage and still pay just $1 for the first month's rent. You can even store all this at Public Storage and pay just $1 for the first month's rent. Call Public Storage. You store it, you lock it, you keep the key.
Hello, I'm Angie Stevens with Atlanta Toyota. As a company, we are concerned about the youth of our country, and we want to help keep our kids free of drugs and alcohol. We are committed to doing something about the problems in our society, and we have joined with Pride to do just that. Together with the Parents Resource Institute for Drug Education, Pride, and our Pride teams, we will teach our children that peer pressure, being cool, or even being unsure of yourself are not reasons to use drugs, and that self-esteem and a positive self-image can be learned and can make a difference. Life can become tragically short for young people if they use drugs or alcohol, and we want to ensure that they have the best chance at a long, prosperous, and happy life, and a life that is drug-free. We are delighted to work with Pride to develop Pride teams in our local schools, and we ask parents to encourage their children to join these teams. Together, we will make a difference.
A hunter accused of murder in the shooting death of a woman he mistook for a deer has been acquitted in Maine. Karen Wood, a 37-year-old mother of twins, was shot and killed 2 years ago behind her house. When Donald Rogerson was charged with murder, it touched off a nationwide debate on hunting safety. Wood was wearing white mittens at the time of the shooting, and Rogerson mistook them for the white underside of a deer's tail. The jury was out just 9 hours before reaching its verdict. When it was read, Rogerson's family jumped for joy. Wood's husband hung his head and left the courtroom in silence. A Massachusetts woman is cleared of charges. She provided cocaine to her unborn child. A judge dismissed a drug distribution indictment against 24-year-old Josephine Pellegrini. The mother of 3 was charged after cocaine was found in her newborn's urine. Prosecutors said they pursued the case to discourage pregnant women from taking illegal drugs. But the Superior Court judge said in the case that the case was an invasion of the woman's privacy. Just last year, a similar case was brought in the Florida courts. 24-year-old Jennifer Johnson was convicted of supplying cocaine to 2 of her unborn children. Today's Massachusetts decision was the first for that state, and attorneys say it could set a nationwide precedent for future cocaine baby cases.
In Florida, this was day 2 of the obscenity trial for the rap group 2 Live Crew. And today, defense attorneys allowed a tape of the band in concert to be played in court. The tape of a 45-minute show led to the band's arrest. Today, jurors had a hard time trying to distinguish the sexually explicit lyrics. Earlier, the judge had ruled against the jury seeing a transcript of that concert tape. Authorities say that the concert did violate obscenity laws.
Coming up next on Eyewitness News at 5, a warning that some latex paint used inside homes can be dangerous.
Plus, more evidence that airbags in cars can be real lifesavers. Stay with us.
A furnace? Not a day of trouble, ever.
Must be a good one.
Must be a Lennox.
It must be.
Be energy wise. Use natural gas and get up to $300 cash or special financing on selected Lennox systems.
For the best, call ACSS.
Give us a call today for dependable service and quality installations.
Take it from Dave Lennox. The Tumbling Company serves Rome with quality service and installation.
Give us a call today.
Attaboy, Dave.
There's a change in the wind at your Toyota dealer, making every Toyota a great deal, like the trouble-free 1990 Camry. close call. With incentives up to $1,500 and big option discounts, you could save over $2,200. Plus incentives and option savings could save you up to $1,900 on a 91 Camry. So hurry, with Toyota Camry savings over $2,200, now's the best time to strike.
Have you tried the fresh fried chicken at Hardee's? It's made with Roy Rogers' recipe, a delicious blend of seasonings and spices. Whole pieces of chicken fried in 100% cholesterol-free vegetable oil, crisp and golden on the outside, moist and tender on the inside. And with a made-from-scratch biscuit and coleslaw, well, this is chicken the way you love it. Come into a participating Hardee's and try our fresh fried chicken. Now get 2 pieces of chicken with a made-from-scratch biscuit for just $1.99. Hardee's, all kinds of good stuff.
Stone Mountain, the wait is over. Home Depot is now open next to Killian Hill Village Shopping Center with more of everything you need to improve your home. All at Home Depot's guaranteed low prices. We feature a beautiful selection of Kohler sinks, tubs, and commodes in styles and colors to fit any decor. To add elegance to any bath, choose the bold look of Kohler.
When you're with us at Home Depot, you feel right at home.
That fresh coat of paint on the walls of your home could be hazardous to your health if it is latex paint that was made before August. Now, according to a recent study, the latex paint gives off enough mercury vapor to be potentially harmful, especially to children. Now, mercury is used in latex paint as a preservative. When the problem was discovered, the Environmental Protection Agency prohibited adding mercury to paint after August 20th. However, paint manufactured before the ban can still be sold. Now, at this time, though, researchers say it is not necessary to remove latex paint from walls. Just be sure that your house is well ventilated.
There's a call today for drivers to fight for their lives. Traffic safety experts want consumers to flex their muscle with car makers and demand that airbags become standard equipment. Channel 5's Mary Norton reports from Washington.
A Dodge Colt after a driver crossed the center line and rammed into it. Both cars were going 40 miles an hour. Jerry Pasantis was driving the Colt.
I have a fractured nose in 2 places, which I can't go under surgery yet for. This will happen in the future. I have a broken sternum. Part of it is in the left side of my chest. I have 5 fractured right ribs. I have a contused heart, but I lived through it. And I'm angry. And I want to make a difference and be heard. Because I couldn't afford a car with an airbag, I was told. And I'm here to talk about it today, folks, but my life has changed drastically.
Victims like Jerry Pasantis and safety experts want consumers to demand airbags in all cars, including low-priced ones.
Not one affordable car has both driver's and passenger side airbags. And if I wanted to buy a minivan or a light truck, I again would have no choices. Not one light truck or minivan comes equipped with an airbag.
Because car manufacturers have lagged in making airbags standard equipment, thousands of people are going to die in accidents this year. People who found that only one car maker even offers airbags in models that cost under $10,000.
The Japanese auto industry's 3-year delay in installing airbags condemns over 7,500 Americans to death and another 125,000 to serious injury.
Safety experts point out 20 years of calling for government regulation and filing lawsuits haven't worked. But they say consumer demand will be the key to making cars safe. Mary Norton, Channel 5, Eyewitness News, Washington.
The experts point out even when the car makers offer airbags as an option, they rarely provide them on the front passenger side. That exclusion, according to the study, results in thousands of fatalities and injuries.
Some of those demonstrations are a little scary to watch.
Yeah, they are.
Entertainment reporter Lisa Clark up next with news of a lawsuit, a suit involving talk show host Arsenio Hall.
And then later, Dr. Stan Winokur separates fact from fiction about over-the-counter treatments for a very common problem.
For 1 week only, prices will never be lower than right now at Atlanta Toyota. Hi, folks, I'm Tom Park, and for 1 week, we're sale pricing 90 model Toyota cars and trucks at $300 below factory invoice. Of course, invoice is what we pay for them. When we buy them, you subtract $300. That's what you pay. It means you can lease a brand new Toyota pickup for $146 a month. Why pay more? 4x4s at $300 below invoice.
leased for just $198 a month. These are typical examples. It's only 1 week, 300 below invoice right here in Gwinnett at Atlanta Toyota.
Here it is from Carrier, the home comfort deal of the year. Get preseason savings on high-efficiency gas furnaces, closeout savings on high-efficiency cooling. Buy a complete deluxe Carrier comfort system by October 31st and vacation on us at the Great Smokies Hilton or the Ramada in Orlando. For big savings and vacation details, call your participating Energy-Wise Carrier dealer now.
For Carrier Home Comfort, call Macy's in Atlanta 221-7771 and at Athens 369-8277. Use your charge card.
Like a dream you call to me. In my heart you stay with me. Your warm ways touched my soul, and the memories unfold. Ooh, you stay, you stay, you stay with me, Mexico. You stay with me, Mexico.
Someplace we can put all these people.
The Lincoln Town Car. It's the roomiest car in the world. And the quietest car you can own. Which makes Town Car perfect for long drives. With a few of your friends. Lincoln. What a luxury car should be.
Today on the showbiz scene, 2 decades of Dante. Dan Quayle goes prime time, and it's court time for Arsenio. Channel 5's Lisa Clark is here now with the tales for us. Court time, huh?
You've got it, Brenda. Now, just yesterday, I reported Arsenio was named TV's best-dressed talk show host. Today, the kind of suit he's concerned with is a lawsuit filed this morning in Los Angeles by his former personal manager. That manager, Bob Wax, cites Hall for breach of oral contract, bad faith denial of contractual duty, breach of fiduciary duty, and fraud. Wax says he helped make Arsenio one of the richest entertainers in the world, but that Hall doesn't want to share the success with one of the people who made it possible. This afternoon, I spoke with Wax lawyer Howard Weitzman, who told me his client was seeking damages for unpaid fees in the amount of, quote, the multiple 7 figures, and I don't think that includes commas. Money has also come between Bill Cosby and a small claim to fame for some homeless kids in Harlem. The kids, students at a workshop for homeless children, were responsible for a colorful mural on the side of a Harlem building. Cosby admired their handiwork and was inspired to use a similar design on the opening credits of his popular sitcom. But now Cosby has dropped that mural after the workshop director demanded on-air credit for the kids and payment for using the design. Though things are really hopping in Washington these days, the vice president has found the time to do a little moonlighting. Dan Quayle, who recently confessed his favorite TV show is Major Dad, will get to appear on that very CBS sitcom. He will play himself and will get paid the standard guest star fee, $2,155. I don't know, maybe a new scheme to pay off the national debt here? Meanwhile, Vanna White will play herself on an upcoming episode of L.A. Law. We hear she will become the latest object of Douglas Brackman's desire. In other strange casting news, we hear Donna Rice has launched her acting career. The Washington Post reports Rice is appearing in a Virginia production of Largo Desolado, a play by Václav Havel, who, in addition to being a writer, achieved something Gary Hart could not. He is the president of Czechoslovakia. Rice, seen here in an ad for No Excuses Jeans, plays the role of a student out to seduce her professor. And finally today, congratulations going out to a local star on the restaurant circuit. Dante Stephenson, the owner of Dante's Down the Hatch, is celebrating 20 years in the business. We see him here just before Underground reopened. Dante's was a flagship of the original Underground, and Stephenson was one of the first to sign aboard when the new Underground was being planned. His friends are throwing a party for him this afternoon, some well-deserved recognition for an Atlanta landmark and the man who started it.
Indeed, he's been around a long time.
Absolutely.
I have a lot of respect for him. And good eats, too.
No kidding.
Thanks, Lisa.
Sure.
Ken Cook coming up next. He has word of changes ahead in our weather.
And eerie anniversary in California residents the day a huge earthquake rocked San Francisco.
Plus, we will tell you what happened to the person piloting this catamaran.
The McDonald's Happy Meal is now just $199. Just $199 buys your kid a hamburger, fries, a drink, and a toy. Now that's value. So hurry to McDonald's for the $1.99 Happy Meal. Even better.
Now you can get McDonald's Happy Meal pails for
Halloween!
There's a pumpkin pail.
Boom!
a witch and a ghost that glows in the dark. Free when you buy your kids a Happy Meal. One each week until
Halloween!
He stirs in the land of dawning. He stirs now in the age of wandering. Now on the trail of beauty, he stirs.
The new Navajo from Mazda. It just feels right.
I want you to cover this meeting for me. That's right. Work this weekend. Can you work this weekend?
You want sun, the ocean. You want it to be private, romantic. Well, there's lots of places. But I know a spot that's perfect.
There are two kinds of travelers in the world. Those in search of the perfect vacation, and those who know exactly where to find it. Uniqlo, we will change the way you travel.
Look out, Buster.
Atlanta, Georgia.
He's the man poised to bring the world heavyweight title home to Georgia.
The real deal.
In an Eyewitness News sports special, get up close and personal with Evander Holyfield on the eve of his title fight with Buster Douglas. Channel 5's Jeff Hollinger and Bill Hartman bring you the real story of The Real Deal. Sunday at 3:30 right before Falcons football, exclusively on Channel 5.
Remember last week when it rained and you put the umbrella away, thought you would need it for a while? Good idea to get it back out. Huh?
Uncle Jim, you're so perceptive of these kind of things. You know, when we're forecasting rain, you say, bring out the umbrella. But the rain now beginning to show on Channel 5 Doppler radar about 120, 125 miles away. So we're going to watch it steadily and surely move toward Atlanta later on tonight and tomorrow morning. Here's a look at what's going on in Atlanta at the present time. We find that it is clear. Clear? It was cloudy a while ago. So let's say partly cloudy. 77 degrees, humidity 60%, wind out of the east 15 miles an hour, and the barometer steady. High temperature day reached 78, the low was 61. That made the day 8 degrees above average for this time of the year. No rain today. We have a large surplus, and we will continue a large surplus even if it doesn't rain anymore this month. Record high 84 in 1920, 34 in 1978. Sun up in the morning at 7:45, and now down just a minute after 7 o'clock tomorrow. Nice, beautiful early fall picture sent in by David Matthews of Mableton, Georgia in the Mableton area. And we're looking for your fall pictures. Get those cameras ready. We've got lots of trees starting to show a little bit of color. Let's keep the color coming in through the next month. All right, let's take a look now. What's on the Doppler radar? Way on the edge of your scope, those little green patches that you see from Montgomery, west of Anniston to Birmingham, Gadsden. That's the first forerunners of the rain now moving our way. It's going to take several hours, probably 6 to 12 hours at least for rain to move into the Atlanta area, more likely after midnight and then into the morning hours. Now, as we take a look in the tropical waters, we see that, yes, once again, we have another tropical storm, now up to 50 miles an hour. It's Nana. Yes, Nana, N-A-N-A, Nana. I want my Nana. That's right. It's over here, 320 or so miles to the north-northeast of Puerto Rico, moving very slowly, about 8 miles an hour to the west. But as this frontal system comes in across the United States and sweeps on in, we would see the storm turn well east of the continental United States and move on out to shore. We'll move on away from shore out into the ocean. Temperatures across the region into the southeast, mostly 70s and 80s. Look way up on the north part of the screen there, 58 at Des Moines. So a cold front is moving into the region, and these 70s and 80s are going to be history for a day or two, and then they'll come back into the picture. Satellite radar composite shows the rain moving now into Georgia from the west, across mostly Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana at the present time. The frontal system is still a long way off from us, so that means that the rain, once it begins, will be in here for about 12 hours. And on the national picture, we see how extensive the cloudiness is from the south and west. So moisture is building up, the front is approaching, rain is on the way. So here's our forecast for Atlanta tonight. Showers beginning later tonight, lows 60 to 65 with southeasterly winds. Then for tomorrow morning, showers in metro Atlanta when you get up and go to work, go to school, temperature in the middle 60s at that time. And then tomorrow, morning rain gives way to afternoon sunshine with high temperatures right around 75 degrees. We'll be back to take a look at the rest of the week and the weekend's forecast for you in just a little bit.
All right, thanks, Ken.
Thanks. There's much more ahead on Eyewitness News. A juvenile is one of the people being questioned in connection with the death of a Korean grocer who was crushed between two cars. 1 year ago today, San Francisco was rocked by a deadly earthquake. We'll take you live to the scene of the quake for an anniversary update.
A healthier lifestyle and good eating habits can make an unpleasant side effect, really. Channel 5's Dr. Stan Winokur will explain. Plus, we will talk to the man whose name is synonymous with television news, Walter Cronkite.
Channel 5 Eyewitness News continues at 5:30 with Brenda Wood and Jim Axel.
Good evening. Police say it started when two young men in a stolen car shoplifted beer from a neighborhood grocery store. It ended in death when the shopkeeper was run over by a van as he tried to stop the thieves. Tonight, Fulton County detectives tell Eyewitness News they have two suspects, but so far they're not naming names. Channel 5's Jim Schuler is here with the story. Jim?
Brenda, from the beginning, detectives had little to go on, lots of witnesses, but too few clues. Last night, they got their break, and we were there as Fulton County detectives brought in two suspects for questioning in the murder of a Korean grocer, Nguyen Kim. Witnesses we talked with still can't believe it happened.
But I couldn't believe that they were just running. You know, they were just running away like it wasn't like they had no feeling. They just left, you know, and he was laying there.
Michelle Weaver was one of a dozen horrified customers who watched helplessly as two shoplifters fled the scene where storekeeper Hyun Kim was crushed by an oncoming van Monday. Witnesses said the storekeeper grabbed the steering wheel of the thieves' car as they fled with a couple six-packs of beer.
Couldn't believe it. I mean, I knew when I saw him that he was going to die because it was, I mean, it was bad. It was really bad.
Now, 48 hours after Fulton County investigators began tracking down two teenagers seen at the murder, police say they've located their suspects.
We have narrowed it down to two individuals. We have questioned those two individuals, and at this time, they have not been arrested. Like I said, they are suspects.
Police say the Korean grocery homicide occurred in front of lots of witnesses here. Some of those witnesses gave investigators descriptions and dress and even the identity of at least one of the suspects. Investigators visited that suspect's home last night and say they believe they found both of the young men they were looking for playing video games in front of the tube.
Investigators brought the young suspects here to Fulton County Homicide late last night, where they were photographed, fingerprinted, and questioned for several hours in the presence of their parents. Detectives say one of the suspects is an adult. Eyewitness News has learned he has a juvenile record. Police say the other suspect is a juvenile.
Will you press to see that the juvenile is also tried as an adult because this is a homicide charge?
That will be up to the DA's office.
So far, police say neither suspect has been named or arrested. But as the investigation continues, detectives say the culprits could face vehicle theft charges for this Cadillac stolen from the airport Avis Rent-A-Car, and that also means charges of felony murder.
The felony murder charge will be brought by the vehicle being a stolen vehicle, and it was used in commission of a crime.
Tonight, while Fulton County is working its case, some other Metro Atlanta police agencies are looking for possible links between the Korean grocery store murder and the other recent convenience store robberies in their area. And just before news time, Fulton County detectives told me that they are on the trail of yet another stolen Cadillac taken from the same lot, the same day, may be implicated in this crime, and the investigation continues.
All right, things still developing in this case.
Still developing.
Thank you, Jim. Well, to update you now on an earlier story we told you about in this broadcast, a Henry County jury has returned a guilty verdict against 18-year-old Billy Willingham. Willingham was charged with the March murder of his father as the victim slept. Prosecutors say Willingham shot Thomas Patton 5 times, then set his father's body on fire. The jury found the team guilty of 4 separate counts: murder, armed robbery, arson, and theft by taking. The judge sentenced Willingham to 2 life sentences for the murder and armed robbery charges and 20 years each for the other 2 counts.
It was 1 year ago today. A major earthquake rocked the San Francisco Bay Area. That quake killed 67 people. It injured hundreds. The quake also caused billions of dollars in damage. Californians are taking time out today to remember the victims of that quake. And reporter Dale Shornick is in San Francisco. He joins us now live with more. Dale?
Well, ceremonies are planned tonight to mark the 1-year anniversary, and church bells will ring at 5:04 this afternoon, the moment that the quake hit. Still, 1 year later, you don't have to look very far to see scars left by the earthquake, and the memories are still painfully fresh.
The scenes from that day 1 year ago are unforgettable. Bodies being pulled from the wreckage, a city block engulfed in flames, and a car plunging through a hole in the Bay Bridge.
The quake lasted 15 seconds, long enough to claim 67 lives and cause $7 billion damage. 1 year later, the hardest hit areas are still digging out.
It's a whole year today? You know why?
In Santa Cruz, just miles from the epicenter, dozens of downtown stores were destroyed. Today, they're still closed. People stand behind fences and gaze at the destruction.
I remember when it was burning.
Santa Cruz is still struggling to come up with a plan to rebuild its downtown. No one, it seems, wants to be the first to open a business on a street full of boarded up stores.
And then pull this down so it's smooth right over your shoulder. You don't...
Some store owners in Santa Cruz get by selling their goods out of tents.
Hey, you know, we may be showing a profit, but it's just barely enough for us to live on. I mean, we can't keep on stringing it out for another year or a third year.
In San Francisco's wealthy Marina District, new condominiums are going up to replace the ones destroyed by the quake. Buildings with less damage are being restored.
I would say every single homeowner I know is doing something substantial in terms of earthquake, making their places earthquake safe.
The most painful reminder of the earthquake is gone, and to help Bay residents forget, Cypress Street, where the freeway collapsed, is now called Mandela Parkway.
It was unreal. It was just something that you wouldn't ever think that you would see.
It wasn't the big one, but most say it's as close as they want to get. Even as the Bay Area rebuilds, experts say there is a 67% chance that this area will be hit with an even stronger earthquake sometime in the next 30 years. Jim and Brenda, beginning on July 1st of next year, Californians for the first time will be required to carry at least a small amount of earthquake insurance.
A real tragedy and quite a recovery. Thank you for the report. Dale Sharnick reporting from San Francisco.
Crew members of a Canadian freighter escaped with their lives after their vessel caught fire last night at the edge of Lake Michigan. 4 firefighters suffered smoke inhalation. The freighter burned for hours before flames were brought under control. Firefighters were called in from 40 miles away to battle the blaze. Authorities say the fire started in the vessel's engine room as crews were unloading scrap steel. Colombian officials seized 1,900 pounds of cocaine from a forest near Bolivia. There, more than 100 drug smugglers were arrested. Authorities doused an outdoor cocaine factory with gasoline and set it on fire. The Colombian government has waged a 14-month offensive against drug traffickers, and they say their tactics seem to be working.
In Washington, the seemingly endless battle over the budget goes on. The House version of the budget isn't acceptable to President Bush, and the Senate version isn't acceptable to the House. Today, the Senate began working on a bipartisan deficit reduction plan that would double gasoline taxes, cut Medicare benefits, and would boost income taxes on the nation's wealthy.
700,000 upper-income households that benefited most from the policies of the 1980s, who saw their tax rates cut in half, and whose income, in many cases, doubled. It's only fair that those 700,000 American families should contribute proportionately to help solve this nation's deficit crisis.
And I know there will be some who will say it's not big enough. There will be some who will say it should be twice as big. Well, that might be the case, but this is a pretty big bite off the deficit problem of the United States.
Last night, the House came up with its own plan, which includes raising income taxes to 33% for some. It also institutes a 10% surtax on annual incomes above $1 million. If lawmakers can't reach a compromise by midnight Friday, the government will shut down.
Congress has given final approval to a major civil rights bill, a measure President Bush has already said he will veto. The bill would ban racial harassment in the workplace and provide for damages in serious cases. Civil rights leaders have fought hard for this bill, saying it will overturn 6 Supreme Court decisions, which they believe have set back working conditions for minorities. But critics of the bill, including President Bush, say it would force businesses to set racial hiring quotas. The Senate passed the bill last night, the House today, but neither vote had an adequate margin to override a presidential veto. Relations between the United States and Vietnam improved today, with representatives meeting to talk about the fate of American POWs. The Vietnamese foreign minister became the first Hanoi official of his rank to visit the nation's capital in some 36 years. He met this morning with General John Vesey, the president's emissary on POW MIA matters. The State Department says the talks will deal only with exchanging information about 1,700 Americans who are now listed in the record books as missing in Vietnam.
Set them free! Set them free! Set them free!
About 20 Vietnamese demonstrators stood outside the meeting chanting slogans in support of democracy and economic freedom in Vietnam. Later today, the foreign minister of Vietnam met with members of the House and Senate Foreign Relations Committees.
And still to come on Eyewitness News, one of America's largest cities adopts a landmark policy dealing with AIDS patients. City fathers there hope other communities will follow suit. Fruits and vegetables, they're becoming staples of the American diet. But they can also cause a slight health problem.
And we'll talk with veteran newsman Walter Cronkite about life out of the camera's eye.
Fun? Style? A good deal? Is that too much to ask?
Not when you ask your Greater Atlanta Pontiac dealers. Special shipments of 91 Sunbirds just arrived.
Show me a real good deal on a brand new Sunbird.
With cash back and reduced sticker prices, new 91 Sunbirds start at just $86.39, less than last year.
You're kidding.
Plus, Sunbird delivers great gas mileage.
Pontiac's the answer.
See Boomershine, McNamara, Steve Raymond, Hennessy, Barranco, or Bob Davis.
Some people love old dinosaurs so much they actually feed two of them. An old dinosaur of a furnace in the winter and an old dinosaur of an air conditioner in the summer. Replace both dinosaurs with just one electric heat pump. You'll cool more comfortably all summer, you'll heat more evenly all winter, and you'll stop losing your shirt to the dinos. The electric heat pump, total comfort in one amazing box.
Oh, hi. Say, if you're looking for low prices on groceries, just look for the Ingalls ad. Every week.
Ingalls, where shoppers come first.
This week at Ingalls, cube steak in the bonus pack, $1.99 a pound. Del Monte peaches or fruit cocktail, just 79 cents. Muller's spaghetti, just 59 cents.
At Sims, you'll never see this word, because Sims represents it off price. Over 200 world-famous designer and brand names in men's, women's, and children's clothing. You can always buy men's current, nationally advertised $290 suits for $159. Women's $235 suits for $139. There's never a reason for a sale. At Sims, an educated consumer is our best customer.
The city of Los Angeles has adopted a policy which city leaders believe will mean more privacy and better treatment for city workers who contract AIDS. Now, that new policy requires the city to pick up medical costs of employees exposed to AIDS while on the job, such as police officers and firefighters. It also means city employees who do have the disease would not be required to disclose it, and city employees with AIDS say that's very important.
And there are lots of tremendous psychological factors to have to deal with. It's not just realizing that you're going to die and that you have a terminal illness.
Now, 6 years ago, Los Angeles was the first city to pass a law banning discrimination against people with AIDS. Other cities did follow suit. Leaders in LA hope that this new plan will also set the standard for other communities.
An alarming trend among a segment of the American population these days. According to a recent study, brain cancer has increased by up to 500% among elderly Americans. An expert at the National Cancer Institute calls it extremely frightening because the disease is almost always fatal. In a study to be published in the Journal of the National Cancer Institute, the rate of brain cancer appears to have increased by up to 6-fold for elderly age groups in the last 10 to 15 years. Improved diagnostic techniques may explain some of the increase in brain cancers among the elderly, but doctors are at a loss to explain it all. Brain cancer is relatively rare in the population as a whole, accounting for only about 1.5% of the total new cancers diagnosed every year.
Oh, many Americans are eating healthier, and that includes more fruits and vegetables and eliminating fat in our diets. But this high-fiber era has another byproduct, gas. And although it's something we don't like to talk about, gas is a very common problem. Channel 5's Dr. Stan Winokur explains some of the ways gas forms in our stomach.
The only way you have air or gas within the upper intestinal tract is as a result of swallowing it. So it's a common problem, swallowing air, and we don't know it.
Now, besides eating, there are 3 ways that you can build up too much gas. One is by smoking, the second one is by chewing gum, and the third one is by wearing loose-fitting dentures. What happens is the body builds this gas up in the stomach and causes a big air bubble to accumulate, and that causes a lot of pain. By belching or burping, the body can get rid of that excess gas. While there are hundreds of over-the-counter products on the market, Dr. Salzberg says most of the time these do very little to bring relief.
So it's more of dietary management and trying to correct some of the mechanisms by which air is swallowed.
Today, people are eating a lot healthier by putting more fiber into their diet to cut down on cholesterol and fat. But a lot of these high-fiber foods can cause gas.
Beans, as we all know, cabbage, Brussels sprouts, certain very high-fibered vegetables can promote gas formation.
Pretzels are a surprising culprit, as well as certain fruits, such as apricots, bananas, and raisins. And for some people, dairy products such as milk, cream, and cheese are a no-no. They can't tolerate lactose, the sugar that's found in most dairy products.
If they have an enzymatic deficiency, which prevents them from breaking down the sugar in milk, the lactose then gets to the colon where the bacteria ferment the milk, or I should say the sugar, the lactose, and then the gas is formed. Where have you been having some pain lately?
Pain's mostly right in this area.
For some people, gas can be a serious problem. 48-year-old Philip Stiles thought he was having a heart attack.
I woke up a couple times at night where I couldn't breathe, where I'd actually stopped breathing. And then I went into hyperventilation, this type of thing.
Twice, Philip had to be rushed to the emergency room. It was only after the second trip and several tests that he learned that the problem was in his stomach. Philip was getting bloated because his stomach did not empty properly. As a result, he had a buildup of gas and food.
I can't eat very much right now. I feel bloated most of the time.
Abdominal pain and bloating may be symptoms of a more serious problem. And if they persist, you need to see your doctor. But for most of us, there's a simple solution. We need to slow down when we eat. Don't eat so much on the run. And if you know a food is going to cause problems, try to avoid it. For Channel 5 Eyewitness News, this is Dr. Stan Winokur.
Now, there are several products on the market for people with lactose intolerance, and for the rest of us who still want to eat healthier but without the uncomfortable results, there's a new product on the market aptly called Beano. Now, it's an enzyme which digests the gas-producing compounds in high-fiber foods.
Let's not prolong the subject, shall we?
Let us not.
Coming up next on Eyewitness News, dramatic pictures of a boat accident where the pilot walked away.
And our team of the week, some young guys who knocked off a state contender. Stay with us.
Freedent's the one. Only one gum passes the test when you've got dental work, and that's Freedent. Freedent won't stick to your dental work, so you can be confident chewing it. And because it also moistens your mouth and freshens your breath, Freedent's in a class by itself.
Freedent's the one that took the stick out of gum, and Freedent moistens your mouth. Yeah, moistens your mouth and freshens your breath while you chew.
Non-stick Freedent moistens your mouth and freshens your breath.
Making a splash, we're coming through. Bacon seafood, good for you. Long John Silver, making a splash. Baked seafood, doing it right. Flaky and white, oh so light.
New at Long John Silver's Baked Fish, Baked Supreme, or Baked Shrimp Scampi. Get them fast.
Making a splash on the
Introducing new tender baked chicken, only $3.99.
One of the best handling American luxury cars we've driven. Hands down winner over Lincoln Continental. One of the quietest, smoothest luxury sedans, right up there with Lexus LS400. Introducing the all-new 1991 Buick Park Avenue. At under $25,000, it's creating quite a stir with very little noise. See your Better Buick dealer. Do it today.
To demonstrate the new Kick the Habit gradual smoking withdrawal system, we're comparing nicotine to the grasp of a beast. But with the Kick the Habit level 1 filter, your nicotine intake is reduced. You'll feel more like this. In a week, switch to level 2. The grasp of nicotine is reduced even more. Week 3, level 3. Now you're ready to quit. And the monkey's off your back. Kick the Habit, the gradual smoking withdrawal system.
A powerboat racer is a very lucky woman. Bridget Vion-Lansuy was attempting a high-speed run on England's Lake Windermere when she flipped her boat at a more than 100 miles an hour. The emergency crews rushed to the scene, and remarkably, she survived the crash. In slow motion, you can see how the craft suddenly lifts out of the water and makes a flip. full circle through the air. The competitive racer was conscious when pulled from the water. She was rushed immediately to a nearby hospital.
Whew, that's scary. Well, a major upset in high school football last Friday night delivered us our team of the week, the Stone Mountain Pirates. They knocked off previously unbeaten Mays to win our award. And our Bill Hartman is here now with the story of the Pirates and their big win.
And it was. They had lost 2 already. Mays was ranked 5th in the state and had a very strong team. I'd seen them play the week before and thought they had a chance to go unbeaten. But Stone Mountain had other plans. In true pirate fashion, they boarded the ship and looted the goal, scoring a 21-14 shocker.
Its only losses have been to Southwest DeKalb and Lowndes County, 2 of the state's best football programs. Mays might have been a 3rd loss, but Stone Mountain went into the game thinking it could win.
We knew it was going to be tough, and we had to control the football and keep it away from their great offense, and we were able to do that, and so we were real happy, and certainly their coaches did a good job of getting them prepared for the game, and they have a fine team, and they're going to go in the playoffs and do well.
On Friday night, the Pirates got another 200-yard-plus performance from number 34, Robert Walker. He knocked out 219 against the Raiders, had a 231-yard game the week before.
100 yards, it's like, a fair day.
Yeah.
But, 200 yards is what I have to get for the rest of the season, to meet my stats from last year.
Playing quarterback for Stone Mountain is a young man named Dexter Stallworth, brother of Cedric Stallworth, a star defensive back for the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets the past few years.
Now, all of a sudden, you're 5-2, and it looks pretty good. Have you allowed yourselves to think about that, what could happen in the future?
Yes, we can't help but think about the playoffs and even the state. But, we have to look forward to the next game against Columbia.
The Pirates have a lot of weapons. One of the most impressive, the kicker. He has already tied the state record with a 59-yarder. He's a threat from way out, and he's got a great name for a kicker, Cannon. Cannon Parkman.
Can't you just read the headlines now? When he gets in college and kicks the game winner, his name is Cannon. Now, it is spelled K-A-N-O-N, but he's got a cannon for a leg and can kick it.
Still good to have a cannon on your team, right?
If you've got a cannon, you can hit the long shots.
Okay, thanks, Bill.
Thanks. Still ahead, a car computer that tells you how to get where you're going.
And some surprising revelations from veteran CBS newsman Walter Cronkite.
For 6 straight years, the full-size pickup from GMC Truck has retained more of its original value than any other in America. That's why sales of the Sierra are growing faster than any other full-size pickup. And we intend to keep it that way in 1991 with these new Sierras. And in 92, GMC Truck. It's not just a truck anymore, it's quality on the road. Now, get special incentives on 91 Sierras with automatic transmission.
Eckerd pharmacist Patty Carr. She can make people feel better, even without medicine.
Bye-bye, Patty.
You get to feeling better, Bob. We'll go dancing.
It takes a special kind of person to be an Eckerd pharmacist.
With all these 1,800 different remedies, you could spend half an hour deciding what's right for the sniffles.
So, what can I do for you today? At Eckerd, your pharmacist always provides help with non-prescription medicines.
Most places, my cold would be over before I figured out what to take for it.
You can smell the bread baking in every Subway store. Just follow your nose.
Look for Subway sandwiches special offers starting next week. Follow your nose to fabulous savings.
Everybody knows that milk's for babies. Charming, disarming, whatever they do. Wouldn't you know it, baby? Milk's for you. Soft baby skin, strong baby bones, bright baby smile, ooh, great muscle tone. Wouldn't you know it, baby? Milk's for you. It's a health kick, baby.
Here's a look into the future. A computer in your car that tells you how to get to your destination. Yes, it's being tested in Dearborn, Michigan by Siemens Electronic firm. Infrared beacons are hooked on traffic light poles, and they tell the computer inside the car how to get to the next destination step by step.
Take the left hand lane. Turn left.
And this
Left hand lane.
unit here stores the map of matrix, a digitized grid of the entire city that you're traveling through.
Now, if you decide to disobey the computer by going left when it says to go right, there's an alarm that'll go off, an arrow that will tell the driver to head back. It is the first time that such a system is being tested here in the U.S.
Well, veteran CBS anchorman Walter Cronkite was in Atlanta last night. But as Channel 5's Eyewitness News' Paul Shields reports, instead of following a story, he was the story. It happened at a black tie autographing party.
Walter Cronkite began his reporting career with United Press in the 40s, but it wasn't until he became a CBS correspondent 40 years ago that he started to take on the role of a nationally known and respected voice of fair reporting. Since his retirement from the CBS Evening News in 1981, Cronkite has remained with the network as a special correspondent, but he's also found time to write several books with his friend and artist, Ray Ellis. Their latest, West Wind, is just out. Taking time out from his autographing duties last night, I had a chance to talk with the Dean of Network Anchors. Over the years, Cronkite has been described as probably the best part of American decency, as one critic said. Another critic said he's America's old shoe and possibly its Linus blanket. Which one would you buy?
That's a tough one. I'd have to toss a coin on that one. They both had a point.
Over the years, Walter Cronkite has covered every presidential election from the CBS anchor desk from 1952 until 1980. And I asked him how he thought history will treat Jimmy Carter.
Very, very kindly. And I think they already are beginning to see that. He has conducted himself magnificently since leaving office.
And where he is now, does Walter Cronkite have any regrets?
Oh, maybe I shouldn't have retired in '81. It's been such an exciting decade. I would like to have been a part of it in a repertorial sense. And it's a regret, but not an overwhelming one. I don't go to bed pounding my pillow every night with the thought, oh gosh, what did I do, stepping away from the daily news.
But maybe a few second thoughts.
Yeah.
Paul Shields, Channel 5 Eyewitness News.
The artist and co-author with Cronkite on West Wind is Ray Ellis. He lives in Savannah for much of the year.
And this is their third book, not the first one.
Yes.
They've taken these travels before. He loves sailing.
Collaborated at least 2 times.
Yeah, Walter Cronkite has visited here at Channel 5 several times through the years. Not recently. He didn't stop by this time.
He gathers a crowd wherever he goes.
Glad Paul got to talk with him. And that's Eyewitness News at 5:30.
John Marlar is here with a look at what's coming up next on Eyewitness News at 6. John?
Brenda, next on Eyewitness News, a telephone tip leads to the arrests of 2 men, both wanted for the beating death of Roswell businessman Ray McMahon. Tonight, a team report including the victim's terrifying final hours that ended in these woods, plus reaction from people at the apartment complex where the suspects were arrested. From South Georgia tonight, police arrest a suspect in the murders of 2 young women, crimes that sent fear through that rural community. In Atlanta, the race for governor gets nasty with Johnny Isakson attacking Zell Miller with a new commercial. Isakson says he's getting even. We'll have those stories and much more, all next on Eyewitness News at 6.
The hot new Eagle Talon. Come and get it for a great low price.
See the advantage at your Southeast Jeep and Eagle dealer today.
We were obsessed for years about calories. Calories, calories, calories.
Diane Carroll makes the healthy choice.
I think we've all become much more educated. Counting calories is important, but really not as important as low cholesterol, low fat, low sodium.
Delicious healthy choice entrees are made with lean meats, light sauces, 20 taste-tempting varieties to help you keep your heart healthy.
And that's why I like this. That's why I like healthy choice.
Listen to your heart. Make the healthy choice.
WAGA-TV Atlanta. John Marler, Brenda Wood, Ken Cook, weather, Jeff Hollinger, sports, and the Eyewitness News team. This is Channel 5 Eyewitness News at 6.
Good evening. It started with a tip to police. Early this morning, they moved in on a North Fulton County apartment complex. After a chase on foot, 2 murder suspects were in handcuffs. Tonight, with their help, police have pieced together the terrible story of how Ray McMahon died. A victim picked at random, then killed for what he knew. Our team coverage begins with Channel 5's Sally Sears. Sally?
John, a 5-day mystery is ending tonight. 2 men with street names of Malik and Waz are telling police some brutal stories. Police brought Malik to the Gwinnett County Jail. He eyed the cameras, then went inside where his fellow suspect is also behind bars. Police say Malik and 20-year-old Wayne Andre Swinton are admitting to armed robbery, kidnapping, and murder. Their alleged victim, 37-year-old Ray McMahon, chosen at apparent random in a North Fulton parking garage. The men say they wanted to steal a car, any car.
A couple of people came out, went and got in their car. They did not pick them. Why, I don't know. Another person, I understand, came out. They looked them over, did not pick them. And then Mr. McMahon came out, and for some reason, they picked him.
Security cameras in the parking garage were no help to police. Somehow, 2 men loitering here with a sawed-off shotgun in a tote bag were unnoticed by the security system. Why did Malik have the weapon?
I understand that Mr. Malik carries it around with him all the time.
Police say the 3 left the garage driving along Roswell Road and decided to kill McMahon.
The only reason we know of that they killed him is because they saw him and thought they might be identified.
So they drove to the back of the Arts Center in Gwinnett County.
They gagged him with a shirt, walked him out into the woods, and at that time, Mr. McMahon was beat to death with the sawed-off shotgun.
They threw the shotgun in this sewer, they told police. Police recovered it this morning off Roberts Road, not a mile from the office building where the grisly crime began. McMahon's company this morning says these arrests are comforting to them and to his fellow employees. The funeral for Ray McMahon is set for tomorrow morning in his hometown of Omaha, Nebraska. And the district attorney says he may seek the death penalty against these 2 suspects. Their first court appearance is set for next Tuesday here in Gwinnett County. Live at the jail, I'm Sally Sears, Channel 5 Eyewitness News.
Sally, McMahon's company had offered a $25,000 reward in this case. Did that help in the search for the suspects?
Police believe it was instrumental in getting tips from all over Metro Atlanta, John, and the company says they fully intend to honor that $25,000 reward fund as soon as they get sorted out exactly who contributed what to bring these 2 suspects into custody.
Okay, Sally, thank you very much.
Tonight, friends and co-workers of Raymond Charles McMahon praised police for their quick work in capturing the 2 suspects in the murder, but they say nothing can compensate for his loss. Channel 5's Kim Watts reports now on reaction from those who knew Ray McMahon and others who witnessed the arrest of the suspects.
Family friend Tom Woodsick is watching the McMahon home in Roswell while loved ones attend Ray McMahon's funeral in Omaha, Nebraska. For a moment at least, news that police have arrested 2 suspects in the murder numbs the pain.
Just total elation. Police department and all the other agencies involved have done a fantastic job.
But Woodsick and everyone who knew Raymond Charles McMahon say they still can't believe he's gone. The businessman leaves behind a wife, 4 children, and a legacy as a devoted family man. According to friends, the license tag on the McMahon's van says it all. Co-workers at Verifone were still too upset to talk about it on camera, but they tell me the arrests will help them and the family now focus on their grief. Harder to deal with, they say, is the anger. Anger that such a gentle man could die such a violent death.
Seen a bunch of helicopters flying in the air and police policemen walking the streets with flashlights.
Donis Howard and other residents at the North Point Apartments on Roberts Road watched early this morning as authorities closed in on 2 suspects in the McMahon killing. Acting on a tip, police cornered the men outside this building near a swimming pool about 4 miles from McMahon's office.
I was watching them and I heard them talking to these people in the pool area there. And I looked over and they had 2 guys sitting on the steps.
McMahon's friends say his death is a tragic reminder.
You don't realize that until something or somebody close to you is affected. And it's just a great loss.
A reminder that anyone, anywhere, can become a crime victim. Ken Watts, Channel 5 Eyewitness News.
This afternoon, Ray McMahon's widow, Candy, broke her silence and said, quote, "My sons were cheated out of a father. I was cheated out of a husband. His family was cheated out of a brother and son." She says, "All I want to see is justice."
After 2 months of agony, there is finally tonight some relief in Tifton, Georgia. That's where 2 young women were brutalized and murdered. This afternoon, police made an arrest. Channel 5's Russ Jameson has that story.
We had some witnesses who had seen him with her just prior, and we were able to chase it down and then put some things together.
This afternoon, 27-year-old Alan Fuller was charged with 2 counts of murder and was being led to jail after over an hour of questioning. His arrest will likely ease the fear that gripped this low-income area of Tifton, fear that has been building since midsummer. What was so disturbing about Denson's death is this is the second such incident in less than 2 months here in Tifton. On August 9th, the body of 25-year-old Kawanda Davis was found in an abandoned duplex less than a quarter of a mile from here.
It's horrible. Never had, ever seen nothing like this on our street.
21-year-old Julia Denson was found in this woody patch Monday evening, nude, tied to a tree with her own dress. Davis's body was found in this abandoned duplex 2 blocks north, also nude, also strangled. Murder seldom visits this town, and Annette Corley was visibly edgy.
I don't feel safe here. I have a 14-year-old son. I don't feel safe at all.
Nita Jackson brought her mother home today, but not before specific instructions about how to treat strangers.
I tell her lock up when we leave, lock everything, and don't go out for nothing. If you need, call somebody.
If you don't know who it is at the door?
Don't answer it.
Before this afternoon's arrest, many here had whispered Tifton police were not doing enough. But Chief Smith says such criticism was undeserved.
You can't come out and tell the entire community what you're doing day by day, but we were working on it, and undoubtedly a lot harder than what people realize, because, I can give my 5 people credit from the detective division. I know they work day and night on it.
Smith says Fuller knew both women, but declined to say if he had confessed to either or both murders. In Tifton, Russ Jameson, Channel 5 Eyewitness News.
Chief Smith tells us Davis was not sexually assaulted. He is waiting for lab tests in the case of Denson. Brenda?
Tonight, a nasty turn in the race for the Georgia governor's office. Republican Johnny Isakson is lunging for Zell Miller's throat in a new campaign ad. Channel 5's Jim Kazurski is here now with more on the story for us. Jim?
Brenda, Republican Johnny Isakson threw another log on the fire in a governor's campaign that was already pretty hot. Isakson said he was turning up the heat because he said he's been burned 1 too many times by Democrat Zell Miller. Republican Johnny Isakson's campaign today began running a hard-hitting ad aimed at his opponent's personal finances.
Zell Miller, the man who's getting rich in politics, through connections, through political favors. That's how he got a charter to own a bank.
Isakson says the lieutenant governor's bank and his potential pension are legitimate campaign issues. However, he offers no evidence backing up his claim that Miller used his political position to enrich himself. Isakson admits he's running the accusing ad to get even.
If the tenor or the direction of a campaign is skewed one way by the other side, then we'll respond.
Zell Miller was bitter about the Isakson ad.
I think it's the most vicious personal ad, the most vicious personal attack ad that we have seen ever in Georgia on television.
Miller got Isakson's goat last Sunday by raising the issue of a discrimination suit filed years ago while Isakson's father ran Northside Realty. Miller says the younger Isakson's record is not good either.
Johnny has run Northside Realty for 13 years. He has hired 300 new agents. Less than 20 of them have been black.
The Isakson campaign says that Miller is on the attack now because he's afraid. They say that his support among voters is in a nosedive. Isakson's campaign manager says that his polls show that Miller is leading now by only 10%, down 11 points from the 21% lead he had in the last newspaper poll. Isakson's campaign says Miller is also worried the Republicans' appeals to black voters may be working.
I want to challenge you to declare your independence. I don't ask you to change your party. Don't ask you to change your affiliation. Declare your independence. Go in the voting booth and say, it's my vote. It's not somebody else's vote.
Many of the members of the Hungry Club who listened to Isaacson today said they wanted to vote for a Republican for governor in November. But Isaacson's record with blacks after his speech was still a question for some.
A very big question, and I think it has not been addressed properly.
Isaacson's campaign manager, Jay Morgan, claims that his poll shows 18% of Georgia's black voters say they'll now vote for a Republican in November. Now, Morgan says if that number holds up, Isaacson has a good chance to win.
The Isaacson campaign obviously pulling out all the stops on this.
Oh, yeah, it's getting late. Only about 3 weeks left.
Has nothing to lose. All right, thanks.
There has been another daring escape from the crisis in the Persian Gulf. 3 British hostages today escaped from Iraq in a Land Rover. No details are being given in case others try to get out the same way. In Washington, D.C., Secretary of State James Baker declares there will be no partial solution to the crisis. He says Iraq must leave Kuwait. In Moscow, Defense Secretary Dick Cheney meets with Soviet President Mikhail Gorbachev behind closed doors. The Soviets are pushing for stronger diplomatic efforts to end the 12-week-old crisis. And Iraq concedes global sanctions imposed after its invasion of Kuwait are hurting. The government says milk, sugar, wheat, rice, tea, and soap are in short supply and are subject to rationing.
Still to come on Eyewitness News at 6, 2 teens taken into custody, now suspects in the death of a Korean grocer. A store owner killed while trying to reclaim some stolen beer.
Also coming up tonight, a huge reward offered in the mysterious disappearance of a Cobb County woman. Plus, Olympic tennis gets a thumbs down in DeKalb's Blackburn Park, but there are others who want it. You'll hear the latest from Billy Payne.
The problem with most mid-sized imports today is that they're underpowered, but not my new Buick Regal. Under the hood, there's Buick's fuel-efficient 3800 V6 engine with tuned port injection, which gives me power to spare. Just call me power hungry.
The all-new Buick Regal offers available features you can't get on most cars. And right now, get up to $1,000 cash back direct from the factory. But you must buy now. See your Georgia Better Buick dealer. Do it today.
Red Baron.
Bring the Baron home tonight. Red Baron Pizza microwave singles.
Some people want to change the world. Minute Lube just wants to change your oil.
Senator, what really happened to those missing campaign funds?
I'm glad you asked me that because it reminds me of a story my father once told me.
Some people want to change the subject. Minute Lube just wants to change your oil.
Mama, the year-end clearance and anniversary sale at Town Center Toyota is a huge success.
Joe, people from all over North Georgia are saving on their new Toyotas from Town Center Toyota.
Folks, you can still save up to $1,300 on Corollas, $1,500 on Camrys, and $2,000 on trucks, and still get 6 months worth of gasoline at no extra charge.
The selection is big, the prices are small, and the people are friendly.
At Town Center Toyota, we treat every customer like they were our mama. You just can't pay less for your new Toyota, 1/2 mile west of Town Center Mall.
Tonight, homicide detectives say they have 2 suspects in Monday's murder of a Korean shopkeeper at his South Fulton County supermarket. Police say the grocer caught 2 shoplifters stealing beer and grabbed the steering wheel of their car as they tried to make their getaway. Now, detectives say they've tracked down 2 suspects believed to have been in the getaway car when Yun Kim was killed. Investigators say one suspect is a juvenile, the other an adult, but so far police have not released any names until the suspects are formally charged in this case.
We have narrowed it down to 2 individuals. We have questioned those 2 individuals, and at this time they have not been arrested. Like I said, they are suspects.
Fulton police say both suspects face charges of felony murder because they were driving a stolen car when the storekeeper was killed. The husband of a missing Cobb County woman says he is so desperate for the return of his wife that he's offering a $25,000 reward. Gloria Wilbur left her home 10 days ago to pick up some groceries and hasn't been seen or heard from since. Her 1985 maroon Buick Park Avenue remains missing. Police can trace her path as far as the nearby Kroger store where she wrote a check that cleared the bank this week. But beyond that, investigators are at a loss. Her husband, Robert Wilbur, says the $25,000 reward is his last hope of trying to get any new information on his wife's mysterious disappearance.
The Soviet circus Bim Bom first made headlines here when it suddenly went bankrupt. Now the 14 members left in Atlanta are seeking political asylum. They say they face persecution if forced to go home. Among them, a 2-year-old who is partially blind and being treated at Emory. These pictures of the boy, his family, and circus members were taken in May. The 14 received working permits today and should know in 90 days if they will be able to stay in the United States. Well, what a difference a day makes. Yesterday, a DeKalb neighborhood said no to Olympic tennis at Blackburn Park. Well, today, other areas say they are interested. First, last night. It was an emotional meeting as one of the largest homeowner groups near Blackburn Park voted against a proposed 20,000-seat Olympic tennis center. Their vote was nearly 3-1. Atlanta Organizing Committee President Billy Payne promises the tennis is not going to go where it isn't wanted. This afternoon, he told us the organizing committee is in no rush to choose among several other sites that do want to be home to the tennis center.
That so many other governments and private sources within the community want to be a part of the Olympic Games.
Well, among the possible sites, Stone Mountain Park, the University of Georgia, Peachtree World of Tennis in Gwinnett, and an area just north of Fulton County Stadium where the juvenile court complex now sits. Brenda?
Just ahead on Eyewitness News at 6, Ken Cook on a cold front, edging our way, bringing some of the chilliest weather so far this fall.
But coming up first, winter comes early in the Dakotas with a thick blanket of snow.
In the South, home is where the heart is, and home is where Riches will send a talented decorator with a wide assortment of designer fabrics to help you enhance your room or your whole home. Riches Home Service never costs you a penny more, and right now you can save 20 to 50% on our elegant custom-made draperies and blinds. You choose. And 30 to 50% on custom upholstery fabrics and 20% on labor. So call 491-2313 now for a no-cost shop-at-home appointment, plus big savings on what you buy. 1 week only.
Hi, folks. Tom Park along with Angie Stevens of Mr. Toyota here at Atlanta Toyota, where for 1 week only, you will not find prices any lower than right now at Atlanta Toyota. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Every single 90 model Toyota car and truck in our inventory during this one fabulous week will be $300 below factory invoice. Now, I want you to think about this. Invoice is what we pay for them. When we buy them from Toyota, you're subtracting $300 on every single 90 model Toyota car, truck, and van in our inventory. Corollas, look at this, 90 model Corollas, like this one right here. Leased for just $169 a month. Talk about low monthly payments. 90 model Celicas with automatic transmission. Again, $300 below factory invoice. 1 week only. Look at these payments, $227 a month. Lease a brand new 1990 Celica. How about a 90 model Camry with automatic transmission at $300 below invoice. Leased for just $184 a month. Typical examples. 1 week only. Hurry to Atlanta Toyota.
Pizza Hut Delivery presents the $4 pizza deal.
What you're telling me is our first pizza is regular price. And up to 4 more pizzas are each? $4. What about a pepperoni lovers? Regular price. And a sausage pizza? $4. 5 meat lovers pizzas? Regular price, $4.
First pizza regular price up to 4 more, just $4 each.
Okay, how about 3 Supremes, Taj Mahal, and a pepperoni lovers? Regular price, $4. Half a billion bucks, $4.
For fast free delivery, call 662-5555.
As we enjoy another nice fall day in Atlanta, parts of North Dakota are covered with winter white. 5 inches of snow blanket much of that area. Forecasters say folks there can expect from 4 to 8 more inches of snow tonight. Winter came early, but it didn't slow people down. Snow is on the trees, the grass, and power lines, but the roads relatively clear. Parts of Michigan, Minnesota, and Montana are also expecting snowfall tonight and or tomorrow.
Ooh, let's not even think about snow in Metro Atlanta. Don't even want to discuss it. Cooler temperatures.
The dreaded S word?
That's right. Don't even say it full-fledged.
None of the dreaded S stuff, dreaded S word for Atlanta tonight or tomorrow or even probably next month. That's a later December, January, February phenomenon. Right now, we have to contend with the possibility of some rain, which we certainly could use. We're looking at, we're not looking at the right graphic. Why don't we take a look at this one? Cloudy, 76 degrees. Humidity, 60%. Wind out of the southeast, 13 miles an hour. The barometer was falling. High temperature, 78. 61 the low, 8 above average. No rain fell today. Record high 84, record low 34. Sun up at 7:45 and then down at 7:01 tomorrow. Temperatures in the southeast today were indeed mild, generally in the 70s and the 80s. Before we show you that, take a look at the Doppler radar. Rain is now getting even closer to us than it was a while ago, now approaching Anniston, also down to east of Montgomery. This is just the first batch of rain that's moving to the east and to the northeast. It'll get into the Georgia area later on this evening. Temperatures in the southeast were indeed mild, mostly in the 70s and 80s, but we start seeing some 50s up there in portions of Iowa as a cold front sweeps on into the southeast. Rain is developing over portions of the southeast. Clouds are getting very thick, especially to our west at the present time. Those thicker clouds will continue to move into Georgia during the night. Now, over the entire country, basically two weather systems to contend with. First one is a cold front now sweeping into the middle part of the country. That's increasing our clouds and our chance of rain. And already on the northwestern part of the country, a second front, which means chance of rain early part of next week. In the meantime, the first cold front just rapidly blows on by the Georgia area during the day tomorrow. The sun will make a quick appearance in the afternoon, and more snow across the western Great Lakes going on into Canada. So our forecast for Atlanta looks like this. Showers will begin later tonight, lows 60 to 65 with southeasterly winds. Then for tomorrow morning, rain in metro Atlanta. Temperatures in the middle 60s. Morning rain gives way to afternoon sunshine as our high temperature climbs to around 75 degrees then in the afternoon, and winds become strong out of the northwest. And the 5-day forecast looks like this. After Thursday's rain, you can look for sunny and cooler conditions coming in for Friday. Our temperatures will then be from the 50s to the 70s. Same for Saturday and Sunday, and maybe a chance of rain already by Monday.
But the weekend looks okay.
It's been working out that way for weeks now, it seems like.
That's great.
Looks good.
We don't mind. Thanks. Coming up next in sports, a look ahead to Game 2 of the World Series.
Jeff Ullinger reports, and we ask the question, can the Reds make it 2 in a row?
Yeah. Hey, Gary McKee got a new home on the AM radio dial, AM 750 WSB. The Gary McKee Hometown Radio Show, afternoons 4 to 7. We'll update all the news and have too much fun. Listen, I'll have Roseanne Barr sing its next birthday. That's afternoons on AM 750 WSB.
I thought the market would never hit 29, or I'd ever hit 30. And I never thought I'd drive anything from an American car company. I guess one should never say never.
New systems, new standards, new thinking, new times. Mercury Tracer LTS with a 16-valve dual overhead cam engine. It's built to change your mind.
See your dealer now for low financing or special savings on 1991 Mercury Tracer.
Like a dream you call to me. In my heart you stay with me. Your warm ways touched my soul. And the memories unfold. Ooh, you stay with me, Mexico. You stay with me, Mexico.
First Atlanta introduces fresh investments, safe investments for today's changing times, for interest rate ups and downs, for special rates and free services. Go short or long. Start big or small. Want to know more? Call any First Atlanta branch. Fresh investments for changing times. Only at First Atlanta.
Tune to AM 750 WSB Radio tomorrow morning at the top of every hour for special reports on the Middle East crisis and all the news. AM 750 WSB, Atlanta's news, weather, and traffic station. Depend on it.
Looking ahead now to Eyewitness News right after the game. She was one of America's most wanted fugitives. A former cop who once posed for Playboy, Bambi Bemanek, was convicted of murdering her husband's ex-wife. But many believe she never pulled the trigger, and they've rallied to her support.
Bambi, run, Bambi, run.
Now, Bambi has been recaptured. We'll have details in all the night's news right after tonight's game.
And that game's coming up here on Channel 5 a little bit more than 90 minutes from now. How does it look?
I think Cincinnati has a good chance, which means they will lose tonight. If I pick a team, it means they will lose.
It usually does mean that.
It is the dreaded hex. It doesn't always mean that, but it does.
It usually does.
The Reds are going to try and make it 2 in a row tonight. In Riverfront Stadium, Cincinnati can be devastating if they take a lead into the middle and late innings. Their relief guy guys are terrific. Tonight's starters will be Bob Welch and Danny Jackson. Welch, as you know, has won 27 games. Welch will win the Cy Young Award in the American League. He will have to have his good stuff. Let's hear from Danny Jackson and from Bob Welch on the game.
They have some power. They hit well from both sides. And they're the type of team that I think you have to pitch to both sides of the plate.
I'm just taking it the attitude that they're going to come back out tomorrow pissed off and want to rip my head off.
Coverage here on Channel 5 begins at 8 o'clock, and I suppose you can make the argument that history now favors the Reds. The last three teams to win the opener has gone on to win the World Series. Overall, the team that has won the first game has won 50 of 86 World Series. Eric Davis, sore shoulder and all. Last night, 2 for 4, 3 RBIs, a 2-run home run in the first inning, and that's all Cincinnati would need. Defensively, the Reds also effective last night. Jose Rio really setting the tone. Here comes the pitch. Check out the glove. Oh, my, behind the back, over to first base. That's how you do it. That's how you set the tempo.
I was up there just throwing straight, you know, and I know if I throw straight, I got a chance to beat him.
He pitched an outstanding ball game. He spotted his pitches well. He had that one bad inning in the 5th inning where he pitched himself out of trouble, and outside of that, my God, he was in total command of the ballgame.
He really was last night. He is 34 years old now, young by most standards, but old in the world of professional tennis. Now, Bjorn Borg wants to return to the game he walked away from 6 years ago. Borg told a couple of London newspapers he's ready to come back. There have been reports Borg is in financial trouble. He won 5 Wimbledons and 6 French Opens. Can he do it at 34? He's going to try anyway. Georgia Tech travels to Chapel Hill to face North Carolina this weekend. The Tar Heels are 4-2. They are a pretty fair football team, so Bobby Ross is naturally concerned. One of his biggest concerns right now has to do with number 1, Pat Swilling. The ankle injury, well, he may play, he may not. It is sore. He's trying to stay in shape. Here's Bobby Ross on North Carolina.
North Carolina is a lot like where we were last year about this same time, and look what's happened to us. So it's a team that is a very much improved football team, much improved program, and capable and reaching the point in their program where they're going to be capable of beating anybody they play, and that includes us.
Okay, that's Bobby Ross. The Hawks are in Pueblo, Colorado tonight on the campus of the University of Southern Colorado. They will take on the Denver Nuggets tonight inside Missouri Gym. Can you name one famous person here?
You, Jeff.
Who used to play in Missouri Gym?
You.
Has to be Jeff Hollinger.
Fantastic. I like how I set you up for those, right?
Yeah, it was hard to miss. Thank you, sir. That's it for Eyewitness News at 6. For the famous Jeff Hollinger, Ken Cook, and the rest of the news team, I'm John Marler.
And I'm Brenda Wood. CBS Evening News is coming up next. Have a very good evening, everyone.
Looking back over your checks is kind of like looking at your family's diary. This big one is for a home down payment. Saved years for that. Here's a doctor's bill, a vacation. What a good time. Florist, here's a check for college tuition. Good use of money there. Write your family's diary on checks from Decatur Federal. It's the family bag.
I've got great news. Jiffy Lube and Pennzoil, 2 of the best names in car care, have joined forces.
That means you'll get Jiffy Lube's unique 14-point full service.
Using quality Pennzoil, America's #1 motor oil.
Drive in anytime. We'll do the job in only 10 minutes.
And your complete satisfaction is guaranteed. Jiffy Lube and Pennzoil, 2 names you can trust. At Jiffy Lube, we do your car a great service.
Visit any of the convenient 27 Atlanta area locations.
Zell Miller, the man who's getting rich in politics, through connections, through political favors. That's how he got a charter to own a bank. That's why he's setting up a retirement pension for himself of over $65,000 a year. Zell Miller, the man who's getting rich in politics. Have you gotten rich in the last 16 years? Zell Miller has. Are you going to vote to make him richer?
When lightning strikes, the best place to be is at your Toyota dealer, where you can strike a great deal on a trouble-free 1990 Corolla. With incentives up to $1,300 and option discounts over $900, you could save over $2,200. Plus incentives and option savings could save you up to $1,800 on the 91s, too. But hurry, with Toyota savings over $2,200, they'll be gone in a flash.
Honey, this isn't our normal brand of shampoo. Oh, well.
For the right brands at the right price every day, shop Drug Emporium. Who knows what you might save?
Now at Drug Emporium, the 24-ounce Scope Twin Pack and the 4.6-ounce Crest Toothpaste Twin Pack in all flavors. These twin packs mean additional savings on top of our everyday low prices. The Scope and Crest Twin Packs, so much more to save at Drug Emporium.
Big game hunting?
Channel 5's right on target.
Under the threat of another government shutdown, it's the Senate's turn to tackle the budget mess. President Bush says he'll veto a sweeping new civil rights bill. And U.S. and Soviets search for diplomatic solutions in the Gulf crisis. This is the CBS Evening News. Connie Chung sitting in tonight for Dan Rather. Good evening. The budget circus arena shifted today from the House to the Senate. The Senate is walking the tightrope and juggling the details tonight to work up its own version of a budget deficit deal. Unlike the House, the Senate plan doesn't stick it to the rich for higher taxes. At the White House, new questions were raised today about whether President Bush would or wouldn't deliver on his threat to let the government start closing down this weekend for lack of funds if there's no done deal on the budget by then. Our coverage begins tonight with our chief Washington correspondent, Bob Schieffer, with the latest from Capitol Hill. Bob?
Connie, a fight broke out tonight on the Senate floor over the gasoline tax, which could wreck the bipartisan plan that the Senate's developed to reduce the deficit.
Grab your wallets and run for cover because Congress is getting up ahead of steam to raise your taxes. They're going to tax your cigarettes, your alcohol, your gasoline.
Oh, no, we can't do that. Never any tax. Ask Americans to pay 10 or 20 or 30 cents a month to smoke a cigarette or to buy a beer or to drive.
The harsh rhetoric developed as the Senate struggled tonight to pass a bipartisan plan developed by the Senate Finance Committee, a plan the Senate's leaders called a test of the institution's ability to function.
Are we willing to make tough choices, or are we going to go by polls in America?
Do we have that minimum level of courage necessary to do something that is difficult, unpleasant, unpopular?
Like the plan that House Democrats rammed through last night, the Senate plan includes new taxes on luxury items, airline tickets, cigarettes, and beer. But it makes deeper cuts in Medicare programs. It also reduces deductions for some in the higher income brackets, but unlike the House plan, it levies no surtax on the wealthy and makes no changes in their income tax rates. And of course, it also contains its most controversial provision, that 9.5-cent tax on gasoline. Here to talk with us about that is the key player in all this, the chairman of the Senate Finance Committee, Senator Lloyd Bentsen. Senator, the gas tax seems to be in trouble. Are you going to have the votes to get it passed?
Bob, it is in trouble because no one likes a gasoline tax. And yet if you knock out that $42 billion, that unravels the package. So it's going to be a tough fight. I think we're going to win it. We'll know within an hour.
Senator Dole says that if the gas tax goes down, it could be a deal wrecker. The whole compromise could come apart.
Well,
do you agree with that?
Could. I do, and therefore it is critical, and that's why we're working very hard in a bipartisan way to see that it remains a part of the package.
You haven't got the votes yet, but you think you will have them?
I think we're going to have them, and it's critical that the package comes unglued, and that would be devastating, I think.
Now let's move ahead past this. Let's say you do keep the compromise together. There is no gas tax in the House version of the deficit reduction plan. Can you resolve the differences between the two in time to keep the government from shutting down
Oh, I
this
think
weekend?
we can. It's going to be some very tough negotiations. We may go throughout the night tonight, and that means that we'd be going into the conference perhaps tomorrow, hopefully so, with the House and try to resolve these differences. It won't be easy, but the time constraints demand it. And the American people also are tired of the arguing, and they're looking for a bipartisan solution. I think we can do it.
But you think it depends tonight on passing the gas tax?
If we lose the gasoline tax, which is highly unpopular, and we understand that, and it's politically popular to vote it out. But if we can keep it, then we can hold the package together, I believe.
Thank you very much, Senator Benson. Connie?
All right. Thank you, Bob Schieffer and Senator. Joining us now from the White House is President Bush's budget director, Richard Darman. Mr. Darman, you just heard the discussion on the gas tax. From the White House point of view, it is a deal breaker, isn't it?
Yes, it is, unquestionably. We agree with Senator Benson. If it goes down, you'd have to go back to square one, and this is no time to do that. This is the time to produce $500 billion in real savings, and you have to have the gas tax as part of that.
Well, bearing that in mind, if the Senate package really is unraveling, as it seems to be, but we'll know in the next hour, is the president willing to sign a stopgap measure that would prevent the government from shutting down by midnight on Friday?
I don't quite agree with you, if you'd pardon me. I don't think the Senate package is unraveling.
But you just heard Senator Benson say that if the gas tax doesn't come through,
right.
that there is a real problem here.
But he also said that he thought that that position would not prevail. That is, that his position would, and that we'd go forward and try to have a conference and get the right job done tomorrow, and that's what the Congress has to do. If the Congress gets that job done, as it should, then the president will be able to go forward and business will be able to continue. What the president has said he doesn't want is business as usual, where the Congress fails to produce, and we then have a little tide-me-over solution while negotiations continue and continue and continue.
But just of today, the president seemed to be sending a bit of a mixed signal. Is the president willing to sign a continuing resolution which would keep the government operating past midnight on Friday if there is no substantial agreement?
If there's no substantial agreement, the president has said he would withhold his signature from any ordinary continuing resolution. If you had one at a very much reduced level of spending, then perhaps the president would consider signing it, because then you would have savings and deficit reduction underway while waiting to complete the negotiations.
So how close does Congress have to be? In other words, how close do the conferees between the Senate and the House, if indeed a Senate bill is passed, how close do they have to be?
We think they have to be very close to the original bipartisan budget agreement and much closer to the Senate than to the House. The House takes a real slug out of the middle class by raising their income taxes.
I must interrupt you there, sir. The fact is that the House version taxes the wealthy in a greater way than it taxes the working class. Isn't that a distortion that you and the White House have been perpetuating in the last few days?
The really significant difference between the House and the Senate is in what the House does to the income taxes of the middle class, increases them by about 6%. The Senate bill increases taxes on the rich not only through the luxury tax, which you mentioned, but through a $30 billion increase in taxes from other provisions. It does so while keeping the tax rates low for upper income people and, more importantly, for middle income Americans.
Mr. Darman, thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate it.
It's nice to meet you.
The budget mess isn't the only issue that President Bush and Congress that keeps them on a collision course. Mr. Bush is now threatening to veto a major civil rights bill that received final congressional approval today. White House correspondent Wyatt Andrews has our report.
It is a veto that threatens to cost President Bush a career's worth of outreach to America's minorities. Here is a Republican president with a lifelong commitment to civil rights and with a strategy to steal minority votes away from Democrats. Now, some civil rights leaders say he'll squander all he's tried to build if he vetoes the civil rights bill.
There will be a firestorm of protest in the minority community. George Bush's actions, the actions of this administration, have not matched the rhetoric, and that's the problem the civil rights community has.
Mr. Bush insists he wants to sign a civil rights bill. It's just that he won't sign this one. In the rush to protect minorities from job discrimination, the White House says, Congress passed a monster law that only a lawyer could love. A law stacking the legal system against employers even where discrimination is unintentional. A law forcing businesses to hire by quota just to make sure they aren't sued.
Even if the job provider is confident of the fairness of the hiring practices, I believe that most job providers will ultimately decide that they cannot afford the risk of a lawsuit and will adopt quotas or close first cousins to avoid that risk.
Proponents say the White House cannot prove that quotas will emerge from this bill and that besides, honest employers have nothing to fear.
There's a cure for all of this concern, is just have the employers not discriminate. And they don't have to worry about fees or anything of this sort.
The president believes he can use his hard-won credibility to convince minorities that this law was a good idea, badly done. Many civil rights groups, however, see the issue more simply, that civil rights forces wanted this law, business did not, and that when it counted, Mr. Bush looked away. Wyatt Andrews, CBS News, the White House.
Still ahead on the CBS Evening News, Eric Engberg with the latest salvo in the propaganda war from Iraq. And Jerry Bowen on the healing in California 1 year after the earthquake.
This message is brought to you by Maytag. The dependability people. Now get a $50 bond with select washers and dishwashers.
Let's all have a feel-good night. I know a little sizzle to feel alright. You get a steak and we'll have a bite. Have a real good, feel-good, real food night. A burger on a bun would be some fun. You really ought to go out and get you some. Get me near a steak and I'll tell you I'm ready for a real good, feel-good time. A real good, feel-good, real food time.
Beef, real food for real people.
The people in 4A threw a perfect party by serving irresistible toasted Crispix party mix. In fact, the people in 4A planned everything right, except forgetting to invite the lady from downstairs. Serve Crispix party mix, because the perfect party is all in the mix.
I can't believe it. Don't you ever quit? I've been away a long time, and my roommate's still going strong.
Renews it Roommate Air Freshener with twice the freshening liquid so it freshens air longer than Magic Mushroom.
Long-lasting roommate.
The United Nations said today that Iraq has refused permission for a UN charter plane to fly to occupied Kuwait with medicine for hospitals. A UN spokesman said Iraq gave no reason. The Iraqis are busy promoting the line that everything is normal in Kuwait and no emergency aid is needed. Eric Engberg reports.
Clearly stung by charges from President Bush and others that terrible atrocities are being committed in Kuwait, Iraq has shifted its propaganda machine into high gear.
Yesterday, one American TV network was taken on a short, tightly controlled trip to one Kuwaiti hospital in an effort to show all was normal. Today, the subject was a Kuwaiti school. Unlike yesterday, all the pictures were taken by Iraqi state-run television.
Children being notoriously unpredictable, the Iraqis today excluded all foreign journalists from the Kuwait trip. The pictures showed children cheering Saddam Hussein and studying under his gaze. A teacher spoke, but seemed to be holding a cue card. 5 children spoke, all delivering the same pro-Iraq message in exactly the same words. And Arab linguists told CBS News 2 of them had distinct Iraqi accents. The heavy-handed effort to portray a happy Kuwait in the face of what numerous witnesses say is a brutal repression is noteworthy in that it shows Iraq may be somewhat nervous about U.S. talk of possible Nuremberg-type trials. Getting Kuwaitis to go along with staged events like this hospital visit is probably not too difficult. Refugees say the Iraqis continue to kill and terrorize the people, and one favorite tactic of their secret police is to shoot teenagers active in the resistance in front of parents who are forced to watch. Eric Engberg, CBS News, Amman.
Another daring escape from Iraq was reported today. 3 British men trekked across the desert and made it over the border to Saudi Arabia. They would not talk to reporters, saying they didn't want to jeopardize others who might try the same route. With U.S. and Iraqi troops digging in for what could be a long winter in the desert, the Soviet Union is now pushing a diplomatic initiative looking for a peaceful way out. Bill Plant has the latest on that.
Amid rumors that Saddam Hussein might be willing to negotiate for just a part of Kuwait, the U.S. position remains adamant: no deals. The Secretary of Defense was in Moscow meeting with Soviet President Gorbachev, but looking for military intelligence, not for a negotiated settlement. However, Soviet Middle East specialist Evgeny Primakov, who met with Saddam Hussein earlier this month, thinks diplomacy can work. He's now making the rounds of Western capitals and will see President Bush Friday. But White House officials are already downplaying the importance of the visit. To members of the Senate nervous at the prospect of military action, especially while they are not in session to approve it, Secretary of State Baker stressed the role of the military in settling the dispute.
Our chances of settling it without resort to the use of force will be much improved if the opposition knows that we're not reluctant we got it there and that we would not be reluctant to use it. So.
While some in Congress remain worried about using force, the Senate Minority Leader was blunt about why it may come to that.
Because we're in the Mideast for 3 words, 3 letters, oil, O-I-L. That's why we're in the Gulf. We're not there to save democracy.
Some students of the Middle East fear that if Iraq were to partially withdraw from Kuwait, the U.S. might find itself boxed in.
I think the position of the president will be enormously difficult because we have assembled this coalition, but this coalition is reluctant to go to war.
U.S. officials think Saddam Hussein's talk of a negotiated settlement is an attempt to divide the coalition against him. So the administration continues to try to convince the world it's willing to go to war. But the longer this drags on, the less Congress and the public seem willing. Bill Plant, CBS News, the State Department.
Stay with us for more news, including Bob Fall from Korea, where North and South are talking, but still taking no chances.
Ann had always loved grape nut cereal. I tried it once or twice.
I said you gotta try it with breakfast for at least a week. Get to know it. That good nutty taste. And well, it's packed with complex carbohydrates. It's a natural energy source. It'll help keep you going.
So I did it. And I do feel great. Now I love it more than she does.
No way.
Breakfast with Post Grape Nuts helps keep you going strong all morning long.
You gotta try it for a week yourself.
It's happened. Russia has opened her fishing waters to red lobster. And now you can taste the sweetest, most delicious king crab direct from the icy Bering Sea. An incredibly succulent king crab. So magnificent, so tempting, so tender and delicious, you must taste it. The prices are special, but there's a limited supply.
Here's 2 cold medicines. Choose one.
Sudafed.
Now choose again. This relieves these 3 symptoms, this 9.
9.
You chose
Tristan. It relieves more of the symptoms of my cold. Sudafed only relieves the sinus congestion.
Tristan relieves 9 tough cold symptoms.
This way to get rid of corns is dangerous, but Dr. Scholl's corn removers are clinically proven safe and effective. Within 5 applications, the painful corn will be replaced with new, softer skin. We guarantee it. Dr. Scholl's corn removers.
A new test reveal. A murder spree in Southern California. 5 women killed. The manhunt continues. Next, Inside Edition.
Inside Edition, tomorrow at 4 on Channel 5.
Emirs of North and South Korea opened a new round of talks on reunification today, but they agreed on nothing. They wouldn't even shake hands as the meeting broke up. Ever since the Korean War ended in 1953, the 2 sides have been facing each other across an impenetrable border. Now the North Koreans have been shaken by the fall of other hardline communist regimes around the world, and they are determined not to go the same way. Bob Fall reports.
It might be 1990, but in Korea, the Cold War is as hot as ever. And the threat of invasion is taken as seriously here as in the Persian Gulf. 40 years after the Korean War, this is a place where roughly 40,000 U.S. troops still play policemen to the world. And along a heavily fortified border, the soldiers of South Korea practice how to kill the soldiers of the North. It's only ritual, but here where barbed wire and anti-tank barriers stretch for miles, where South Korea detects and then displays underground tunnels North Korea built to infiltrate its troops, where loudspeakers blare propaganda around the clock, here, even rituals are deadly serious.
When do you think an invasion by the enemy is possible?
The invasion is possible at all times.
For now, 10 million Korean families, separated since the country was divided after World War II, can only pray for unification. For 45 years, they have not been able to write, to phone, or even to look upon one another. This housewife can only wonder if her parents and son are still alive. This grandfather can only dream of returning home. For now, the Korean people are pawns of 2 governments. South Korea, proclaiming its borders would open for 5 days in August, processed applications from 61,000 people who wanted to go north, even assembled and bussed hundreds to the DMZ. Not to be outdone, North Korean officials said their borders would open up too. But in the end, the two governments agreed on nothing. Although thousands of Koreans took out their frustrations on police, the borders stayed closed. No one went anywhere.
So on one hand, you are preparing for the possibility of war, but you are also, on the other hand, try to move forward in the unification front. So in some sense, the situation itself is contradictory.
The winds of change sweeping through the communist world have not swept through the repressive police state of North Korean strongman Kim Il-sung. Despite historic meetings between North and South Korean prime ministers, and despite pressure from the Soviet Union to open up, North Korea remains closed. Result? A lot of noise, the promise of more talks by officials, but very little change. So this remains the last outpost of the Cold War and also a symbol of a people divided, which despite recent proclamations from North and South Korea, neither country seems that willing or able to change. Bob Fall, CBS News, on the border between North and South Korea.
In Bangor, Maine, there was a verdict today in a controversial trial that pits hunters against non-hunters, newcomers against old-timers. 47-year-old Donald Rogerson was acquitted of manslaughter charges in the shooting death of a woman he claims he mistook for a deer. The woman was killed as she stood in the backyard of her home in suburban Bangor. The victim's husband said he found the verdict stunning. 1/4 of Maine's residents have hunting licenses. Fugitive convicted murderer Laurie Bembenek may have reached the end of the line. Canadian police, they say they arrested Bembenek today in Thunder Bay, Ontario, north of Duluth. Also arrested was a man believed to be her fiancé. The woman known as Bambi Bembenek escaped from a Wisconsin prison last July. A one-time Playboy bunny and Milwaukee police officer, Bembenek was serving a life sentence for killing her ex-husband's former wife. But her admirers claim she was framed and insist she was innocent. Many had said they would help her hide.
These days, there are more pain relievers than ever. But last year, more people switched to Tylenol gel caps than any other. Why should you switch? All the extra strength pain relief of gel caps has been concentrated, then covered by a smooth gelatin coating, which makes them so easy to swallow. Extra strength Tylenol gel caps. Concentrated, powerful, easy to swallow. Join the switch to Tylenol gel caps.
The sun is bright and warm, but it's also sweet. The proof? Delicious sun-sweet pitted prunes, made from sweet, luscious, sun-ripened plums. No wonder they're called sun-sweet. Only one prune tastes sun-sweet.
Help put the odds in your favor with a diet low in saturated fat and cholesterol, including new Fleischmann's Extra Light.
You've got this all wrong. You want to make news of the cereal today, you need a gimmick. Putting a whole banana inside a little bran biscuit, stuff like that. These are just flakes. I don't think I've tasted anything like it. Simple, light, it's really very good. Well, how about that? A cereal that doesn't need a gimmick.
Kellogg's Corn Flakes.
Corn Flakes?
Taste them again for the first time.
The Reds and the Oakland A's take the field tonight in Cincinnati for Game 2 of the World Series. Exactly 1 year ago in Candlestick Park, the A's and San Francisco Giants were about to play Game 3 of their World Series when it happened. The earthquake that left a trail of destruction 70 miles long and memories that will never fade. Jerry Bowen looks at California 1 year later.
Images from the earthquake of '89.
Hey, you all right?
The Oakland freeway collapse, where most of the 63 quake victims perished. San Francisco's Marina District in flames, shades of 1906. And the Bay Bridge collapse. This was the shot seen round the world.
There's another car. Gosh!
A dreadful signature image of chaos.
It's still vivid, still fresh in my mind.
Lesacita Halanahu, confined to a wheelchair now, remembers his sister who was driving the car, his sister who died beside him. One block of San Francisco's Marina District was an inferno that night, and just across the street, buried in the rubble of her apartment, was Shara Cox, wondering what might get to her first, the flames or a firefighter tunneling through boards and beams.
I looked under this beam and I saw his fingers, and I did grab hold. And I said, then he told me, he said, "My name is Jerry, what's yours?" And I said, "Shara, and I'm very happy to meet you."
It was firefighter Jerry Shannon ignoring warnings of gas explosions and approaching fire and wondering who would tell his kids if he died.
We were yelling the kid out, and we were eye to eye, and I said, I'm not leaving you. I'm not leaving here without you.
And so they left together, survivors, and to this day, friends. 75 miles south, the Catholic Church in tiny Watsonville, very near the quake's epicenter, was damaged beyond use, along with hundreds of houses. The mostly poor Hispanic congregation's been worshiping in the high school gymnasium ever since. Hundreds still live in federal government trailers and want to stay. These are better homes, they say, than they had before the earth moved. And they dream of rebuilding their church.
The healing of that building over there, I think, will help all of us heal our psyches.
The horror of the disaster was palpable for days along a 1-mile stretch of freeway in Oakland, the living and the dead crushed and trapped together. Nick Zaninovich weakly applauded his rescuers that night and still has nightmares, but has never lost that feeling of rebirth.
I looked up at the stars, and they were that big, and they were beautiful. And I just looked up, and I said, "Lord, I thank you as many times as there are stars in this sky." And I said, "and as many billions of stars I cannot see."
There's a broad, bare strip where the freeway once stood. Life at its best and worst has come back to normal in this tough section of Oakland and elsewhere around the Bay. And last weekend, Nick Zaninovich, Shara Cox, and other survivors came together to celebrate.
The earthquake changed us, but it changed us for better. We are more human now.
Let's give a prayer for everybody.
Celebrate and remember the value of lives lost and saved and changed forever. Jerry Bowen, CBS News, San Francisco.
And that's our news. I'm Connie Chung in New York. Dan Rather will be back tomorrow. Thank you for joining us, and for all of us at CBS News, good night.
Quaker Oat Squares. You're gonna love them from square one. Love that crunch.
Love the toasty taste. Love the touch of brown sugar. Surprise!
Quaker Oat Squares. You're gonna love them from square one.
You put a lot of yourself into something like this. A lot of, you can really get emotionally involved with a project like this. It all started with the challenge for the old values.